But I mean, it's interesting because you tracked your journey, sang on one of my favorite albums. I mean, Make It Last Forever. It is one of my, I think that one and the Bobby album and the Guy album. Um, were you surprised how, because you knew Teddy from, I didn't realize first how long you've known Teddy, to see him as a producer. Was that a surprise because you were in a band together? Did you know he had it in him?
I knew he had something in him. Teddy was always, amazing, amazingly talented. Like he was a genius, and he still is. Um, so me seeing him young and knowing young Teddy, that you know, because even now to know, okay, a Teddy Riley, Teddy is Teddy. I don't look at him like that. I'm like, I know Teddy that I was in his project department, in Harlem, and Mickey Mouse was running over my feet when we were supposed to have a rehearsal. That's Teddy I know, and his mama, I'm like, I know that.
Okay.
So when people are like, oh, Teddy Riley, Teddy Riley, I'm like, okay, that's my brother. That's my brother. But I know that, I know the Teddy that came from Harlem, I know the Teddy, the real true Teddy. So, yeah, it's just, it's just, okay, that's Teddy. Like, but yeah.
So because Make It Last Forever Blake blows up, then Teddy and Timmy and Aaron form Guy. What happens to you then in the midst of all this? Everyone's getting deals and stuff.
Well, when they were doing their thing, I got my deal with MCA.
Oh,
I was with MCA Universal. I did a huge deal, and my album didn't come out right away. What happened was Teddy and Keith was supposed to produce my album, and they started fussing with each other, and they didn't end up doing the album together. Then Teddy was like, well, I'm not doing it at all. And I'm crying, and I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I started with you. Like, how you not going to do the record? So Teddy didn't end up working on the record. Keith produced um, songs on my record. I'm trying to remember how many. One or two. But Keith did a cameo on my album. My single was called It Hurts Me. It did really well. Um, Keith was in it, he was on the song, and he was in it. He was in the video, and it did pretty good. But my album didn't even come out until um 92. It was on the shelf because MCA had so many artists, so many Black artists that we
mm.
all were just like waiting in the cut. But
Wondering because you said you've known Teddy since he was a kid, and then he didn't. He said he doesn't want to work on your record. Was it because of Keith? But he could have done songs separately. But was it Gene? Because we've heard the documentaries about how Gene controlled things. So was Gene the one stopping it, or do you think Teddy? You couldn't convince Teddy to do something solo with you?
no, it wasn't Gene. It wasn't Gene at all because Gene loved me. That was my dude. And let me tell you something. I was the one person that was never scared of Gene. Gene would do anything for me. I love my Gene Griffin, but he was terrible. But I love Gene. He always made sure I was good. Um, no, it had nothing to do with Gene. It was because Teddy and Keith were fussing, and then they weren't working together anymore. And at the time, my manager was Hiram Hicks. He managed New Edition BBD, and started managing me, and then he took on Keith Sweat, and that made me mad because I'm like, you taking on Keith Sweat, that's not helping me. So of course he started doing stuff more in Keith's favor than in my favor.
Yeah.
So when Teddy and Keith was arguing and all that other stuff, it was just like, Teddy didn't want to deal with Hiram with Keith, period. So he just didn't do it. And
Wow.
it was what it was, but I just felt like, it was unfortunate that it had to go down that way, but I still ended up singing with Teddy I went out on the road with Guy. I was home from singing with Toto, and Teddy called me and he was like, Jack, can you do me a favor, please? And I was like, what? And he said, I need you to come out on the road and sing Goodbye Love with Aaron. And I was like, okay, well, how much am I making? And he was like, call Gene. He's like, call Gene. Gene will work it out with you. I said, okay. So I did end up singing with Guy for a little while as well. Not long, because that's when that whole nonsense went down with New Edition and Guy.
Oh, okay, good. The super. Were you there when that all happened?
I was singing with them, but I hurt my leg the weekend before, and I couldn't walk. But no lie, this is all my life. I was trying to put my shoe on and stuff anyway. I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and go fly out to meet them. And when I tell you that the Most High was speaking to my spirit loud, like the Holy Spirit was speaking to me and said, don't go. And I'm like, what? And it just said, don't go. So I call the cab. I'm going to the airport and everything. And it said, don't go again. And I'm saying, okay. I'm in the car going to the airport in the cab. And when I tell you, the voice was like, I said, don't go. I said, okay, you have to say nothing else. I asked the cab driver to turn back around and take me home. And I told him I'll pay him, for both ways. And when I got home, I was trying to call Gene and tell him, I was like, I'm just telling him that my foot is too swollen. I can't put my shoe on. I'm just not going to come. And I couldn't get Gene. I couldn't get Teddy. Finally, it was like 3:00 in the morning after the show. I get Teddy on the phone. He was like, oh, you're never going to believe what happened. And I was like, what? And he was like, they pulled the plug on our show, right in the middle of Goodbye Love. Not Goodbye Love, because Aaron didn't do it. Piece of My Love. So I was like, what do you mean? He was like, oh, it's a big deal. And I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. And then the next day is when it happened, the fight, the everything after the show. And Anthony got killed, Teddy and Aaron and Damien's bodyguard. And it was crazy. It was crazy. I wasn't there. And I know now, I knew then that the Most High was protecting me not to be there when that stuff happened.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you for being part of Halftime Chats. This new update is really about our membership, and I'm really excited to be able to fully launch the membership page. There will be things like full interviews from day one. As soon as the interview drops, you get access to it without any ads on it. There'll be some exclusive member-only videos that will just be some behind-the-scenes stuff and some other things that will never be broadcast. For some members, you can be able to get actually 2 interviews, because I do have a backlog of almost 7 or 8 interviews that I don't even know when I'm going to be able to broadcast them. So you're able to get at least some of those up front, and some just behind the scenes stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that I have never been able to talk about or release. For everyone else, the videos will still be the same. Over a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks, depending on how long it is. So everything stays the same. The polls stay the same. The community chats, the community stuff stays the same. But I think with the membership stuff, I'm able to add a little bit more and invest a lot more time and energy in really supporting the members. So I do hope you come on that ride with me. I appreciate the support, and this will just help me continue to invest in taking things to the next level. Take care.